Good morning everyone, my name is Vijay Gupta and you're watching biology classes. So welcome to all of you in this lecture of biology. Student Good morning everyone, my name is Vijay Gupta and you are watching biology classes. So students, welcome to all of you in this lecture of biology. As we all know that currently I started a new topic, that is a plant morphology. So in plant morphology, we study about the external structures of or the external features of a flowering plant. In my first lecture of this series, I described about a flowering plant and I told you that how many parts are there which can be seen externally in a flowering plants such as root, stem, leaf, etc. In this lecture, I will start one by one each part of a flowering plant. So I'll start with root, that is the first topic of plant morphology. So first of all, what the root is. Root is actually a descending part of the plant which develops from the radicle of the seed. As I told you in my last video that root is developed from the radicle. As you can see, this is a plant. In this plant, the part of the plant which remain embedded in the soil is known as the root, while the above the surface of the soil, the part is known as the shoot system. So below the soil, the part is known as root. This root is developed from suppose that this is a seed. It is seed, and if we sown this seed in the soil, then after some time this type of structure arises which is known as radicle, and this radicle give rise to a root. So the root develops from the radicle of the seed. This is the radicle, and which develops a complete root system. At first it develops a primary root. From the primary root, secondary roots arises. From secondary roots, tertiary roots arises. Thus a complete root system is formed. So it was an introduction about the root. Now what about the definition of root? The root is a non-green. As we know that generally chlorophyll is absent in the root, so the root is a non-green part of the plant. The root is a non-green cylindrical. It is cylindrical in shape, descending part of the plant as it grows inside the soil. So it is the descending part of the plant which develops from the radicle of the seed, and we know that the root develops from the radicle of the seeds. So and helps in absorption of water, and I also described about two functions of root, that absorption of water. Root also perform in the absorption of water and fixation of the plant, and it also fix the plant in the soil. So the root is a non-green cylindrical and descending part of the plant which develops from the radicle of the seed and helps in absorption of water and also in the fixation of plant. So it was the definition of root. Now we'll talk about the different characteristics, different special characters of a root. Number one, it is the descending part. As we know that it develops from the radicle of the seed, so it is the descending part because it grows inside the soil. So it is the descending part of the plant. Usually chlorophyll is absent in root. We know that all the green parts of the plant consist of chlorophyll containing cells which helps in the photosynthesis and formation of food. But most of the time roots are not green in color, means the chlorophyll containing cells are totally absent in root. So the root does not bear, the root usually chlorophyll is absent in root. So the chlorophyll is absent in root. Now the next point is, normally root does not bear buds. As we know that buds are present on stem, that you can see these are the buds which are maybe axillary buds or the terminal buds or the flowering buds, but generally buds are totally absent on the roots. So normally roots does not bears bud, but in some plant, but exceptionally in some plants that may be sweet potato or the wood apple. So sweet potato or the wood apple, root bears buds. In both these plants, root bears bud which helps in the reproduction. And which type of reproduction? The vegetative reproduction. So normally roots does not bear the buds, but in some cases like wood apple and sweet potato, the root bears the vegetative buds which helps in the vegetative reproduction. Now the next one is, at the tip of root a root cap is present. Now I am trying to draw a rough diagram. That is, suppose that it is the primary root, and at the tip of the root a cap is situated, and the cap is known as root cap. So the tip of the root bears a root cap which protect the root from different bacteria, fungus and scratches in the soil. So at the tip of the root, a root cap is present which protect the root. Now the next point is, it is positively geotropic because it is growing towards the soil, so it is the positively geotropic because it is grows towards the earth, so it is the positively geotropic. Next point is, it is not differentiated into node and internode. As we know that node and internode, what is the node and internode? So first of all, I'll tell you again, as I told you in my first lecture of this series, what is the node and internode. This is the stem and leaves arises from the stem, that we all know. So this is the place of the stem from where leaf arises. So leaf arises from this place, this place, this place. From where the leaf arises, the place is known as node. So node is a place from where the leaf arises on a stem, while the distance between two nodes is known as internode. So I mentioned here, these are the nodes and this is the distance between two nodes, which is known as the internode. So node and internode are present on the stem generally. So node and internode are absent on the roots. In some cases they may be present, but in most of the cases node and internodes are absent on roots. So it is not differentiated into node and internode. Now you know what is the meaning of node and internode. Now the last point is, the root bears unicellular hairs. As you can see in this diagram, the root consists of different regions, different zones. I will describe different zones of root in my later videos, but in this video roughly I am telling you that the root bears root hair region, and on the root hair region numerous unicellular root hairs are present, which helps in the absorption of water as well as minerals from the soil. So these are the root hairs and these are the unicellular in nature. So it bears unicellular root hairs, as you can see, which absorb minerals and water from the soil, and these root hairs absorb mineral and water from the soil. So it was all about the characteristics of a root, and I think all things are very clear to you. In my next lecture I will tell you about the kinds of root, types of roots and different zones or the parts of a root. So it was all about the general characters of root. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.